I fell in love with my best friend's brother. I never planned to fall in love with him. In fact, I spent years convincing myself I didn't even notice him. But the heart has a way of betraying the mind, especially when the person you fall for is completely off limits. This is the story of how I fell in love with my best friend's brother and almost lost everything because of it. How it all started. I met Daniel in my first year of university. He was the kind of person everyone liked effortlessly. Funny, loyal, always checking up on people. Within weeks, we became inseparable. Group assignments together. Late-night study sessions. Random food runs at midnight. Daniel wasn't just my friend, he became my safe space. I knew his family. His struggles. His dreams. And I especially knew his older brother. Michael. Michael was 5 years older than us. Quiet. Observant. The kind of guy who spoke little but always made sense when he did. The first time I saw him was at Daniel's birthday party. Tall. Calm. Soft eyes. He shook my hand and said, "So you're the famous best friend." I laughed it off. But something inside me shifted. At first, it was harmless. I looked forward to seeing him. Noticed the way he smiled. Noticed the way he listened. My heart raced, thinking of him. But I told myself it was just admiration. Until it wasn't. Whenever Michael visited campus, I suddenly found excuses to stay longer with Daniel. Whenever Daniel invited me home, I felt both excited and terrified. Because I knew, deep down, what I was feeling wasn't innocent anymore. Butterflies in my stomach. And the worst part? Michael never did anything wrong. He was just kind. Respectful. Warm. And somehow, that made it worse. One rainy evening, Daniel had to leave town for a family emergency. Michael stayed back in their apartment. And I was there too. Just the two of us. We watched a movie. Talked about life. Shared stories we'd never told anyone. At some point, the power went out. The room went quiet. And in that silence, I felt it. The tension. The unspoken thing sitting between us. Michael looked at me and said softly, "You know you're important to me, right?" My heart nearly stopped. I wanted to run. I wanted to confess. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I just nodded. And that was the moment I knew. I was already in too deep. Call it love, you won't be wrong. After that night, things changed. Not outwardly. But emotionally. We started texting more. Checking in more. Sitting closer. We became emotionally connected and intertwined. Nothing physical ever happened. But emotionally, we crossed lines. We became each other's comfort. Hardly a day goes by without my thinking about him. And I hated myself for it. Because every time I looked at Daniel, guilt sat heavy in my chest. He trusted me. He had no idea that his best friend was slowly falling for his brother. One evening, Michael asked me to take a walk. We sat on a bench under streetlights. And he said the words I feared most. "I think I'm developing feelings for you." The world froze. I should have shut it down. I should have said no. But instead, I told him the truth. I feel the same. Silence. Not the peaceful kind. The terrifying kind. We both knew what this meant. It wasn't just about us. It was about Daniel. Friendship. Family. Boundaries. Everything we were about to risk. Michael said, "We have to stop this." And I agreed. Not because it didn't hurt, but because losing Daniel would destroy me more. So we created distance. Fewer messages. Fewer meetings. More pretending. And slowly, painfully, we tried to unfeel what we felt. But feelings don't disappear. They just hide. 6 months later, Daniel noticed. He asked me directly. Is something going on between you and my brother? I froze. Michael froze. And in that moment, I realized lying would break him more than the truth. So I told him. Everything. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Daniel stood up. Looked at both of us. And said quietly. I trusted you with my life. Then he walked out. Daniel stopped talking to me. Blocked my number. Ignored my messages. And Michael carried the guilt of hurting his own brother. We didn't become a couple. We didn't run away together. We both just sat with the consequences. Two people who loved each other, but lost the person who mattered most. 2 years passed. No contact. No messages. No closure. Until one day, Daniel reached out. We met for coffee. Awkward. Careful. Emotional. He said. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired of carrying it. We didn't go back to how things were. But we forgave. And Michael? We never tried again. Not because the feelings weren't there. But because sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes the cost is too high. What I learned. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean you're meant to keep them. Some feelings should be acknowledged, not acted on. And the hardest part of love isn't rejection, it's restraint. I fell in love with my best friend's brother. And in doing so, I learned the difference between desire and integrity.